Hello and welcome back to the podcast Only Murders on TV. Yes, I do want to point this out because I'm very chuffed about this. This is the only YouTube channel dedicated to a podcast that I run. Out of the 22 YouTube channels I run, Only Murders on TV is the only podcast that's on its own YouTube channel that isn't in with everything else. Like, I'd say, for example, the Bully Box Files is on Tom Mason, so it's integrated into a channel itself, and Chatterbox is inside the third channel, The Weird Side, which is returning along as well with my Avengers podcast. Not the Marvel Avengers, but the TV show Avengers. Today we're talking about Bergerac! Yes! Now, we are going to talk about the original Bergerac later on, the 80s Bergerac, with John Nettles, who I will talk about the fact that his legacy really is mainly Midsummer Murders and Bergerac. But now we're going to talk about the brand new Bergerac from 2025 that aired on the 27th of February 2025. Now, a week before, I'm going to play you a clip now, just because it's now the right time to play the clip, because it sets up some elements that I want to talk about quite nicely. So, a week before the new Bergerac came out. Now, this is the first time that the BBC directly haven't actually aired Bergerac. This was on the channel Drama, or as it's now known stupidly as You and Drama. I hate that title. I prefer Drama because it's a cracking promotional image for a promotional advert for that channel, which is just brilliant, which I will be reviewing for the love of promotions over on the third channel, The Weird Side, in the future. So, I'm not too keen on it. And so they added this program that was a one-off. It was like, I don't know, half an hour or something. And this is the clip I found online to find that program in the first place. They put it on their streaming catch-up service called, it was called UK TV Play, and it's now just called You, which is a silly title again. And so, what had happened was the show itself, I'll be perfectly honest with you, was brilliant. This thing that no one expected, called Bergerac meets Bergerac, was brilliant. And what you're about to see is a clip of Damien Mollony, spelled M-O-L-O-N-Y. If I mispronounce it and misspell it, I do apologise. And John Nettles talking about their experiences as Bergerac. Please enjoy the short snippet. You can find the full thing on You, or if you type in UK TV Play, it will still come up, I assume. Enjoy!
I am very pleased that you're taking on the mantle of Bergerac. How did you find playing him?
I loved playing him. Everyone loves playing the detective on the sofa. Everyone loves thinking, I know it is, until the rug gets pulled out from under them. Toby Whithouse has crafted this wonderful 6-episode arc of constantly thinking, oh, it's them. It must be them. It can't be them. Okay, no, it has to be them. And then when it finally is revealed who the biggest culprit of all, it's the gut punch. No, I'm not telling you. No, it was a real shock. A real shock to me, certainly.
I've noticed about your version of Bergerac, it's much darker, far more complicated character than I created. It's far more nuanced.
I guess that's because in our version we have one crime taking place over 6 episodes, so there's time to kind of investigate those things a little bit further.
The picture of the anguished cop is part and parcel of the language of detective drama.
Yes.
In the case of the original Bergerac, I was loaded with all kinds of things. I had a gammy leg, being crushed.
Did you have to then limp all the time?
Do you know, Damien, I did have to limp, but I was in such a state when I started that. I remember there's a shot of me walking up the hill at Booley Bay, which you probably know.
That's a really steep hill.
It's a really steep hill, and I'd forgotten which of the legs I had was gammy, so I was limping on the wrong leg. Until the director told me in no uncertain terms, left leg, you silly...
I hope audiences will really love this version.
What they will get is a more complex character than the original, still recognisably Bergerac, and a great performance.
Oh, thank you.
They can but enjoy it. I hope he's as good to you as he was to me.
So, like I said before, you can find the full clip of that over on the UK TV Play app. Now, for anyone that was only listening to that, because I don't know which other platforms other than Spotify this podcast goes on, because it's YouTube and Spotify, but they do video elements now. What you will have missed that isn't really a key detail, but is a detail that I think I might want to endorse due to I want to A, for audio listeners, and B, I've just realised, for accessibility reasons, I want to say they were sat in a cafe. None of them had drinks, mind you, from what I remember. Because power of editing, I haven't seen this clip since it came out. Well, since before, but I didn't see any of them having coffees or cakes or whatnot on the table. So I'm assuming they were just there to film, and then they were leaving because they didn't really they probably paid for the filming rights for the location. So John Nettles there seemed very excited for the new Bergerac. Well, it was one of those things where he vaguely, in that clip, and you will have heard, he vaguely says, is the theme tune the same? At this moment in time, I can't tell you if that's the case. What I mean by that is that Doctor Who, this is how I'm going to example it. And I know it's not a crime program, but it's the only example I can give. So Doctor Who, over the 61 years it's existed, each theme tune is the same core. Do-do-do, 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 do-do-do. Do 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 that type of thing, right? But each version, each time there's a new Doctor, it's like boom 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 boom. That's my Johnny Whittaker theme tune impression by Bergerac and Nolan there. I was rather impressed with that. And so what they've got there is, it's the same melody, diddle 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 la 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 da da da. Same melody, but with a different arrangement. So I'm thinking, so the original Bergerac theme tune is distinct for certain elements, right? And so I think that the new Bergerac theme tune is technically, I could be wrong, because I was watching it and I could hear hints of what I thought was the original theme tune, but I'm not too sure. Once I get it, so I can analyse it properly, I'll be able to tell you. I think I might start doing that on this podcast. I might start analysing crime theme tunes, because there's an interesting pattern with them. Might be a special episode, I don't know, because normally I talk about a programme, but I might just talk about the theme tunes in the next one. And what really works really well is that you can sort of sense what this is. So I know the logo, the image at the end is similar to the original. So I don't know the comparisons, but I think it might just be a melody change. Overall, the style of the show for the new 2025 Bergerac has changed dramatically due to the landscape of crime of that genre. So gritty thriller drama crime has changed dramatically in the year. So drama that isn't dramatic, gritty, like Midsummer Murders, Father Brown, Shakespeare Hathaway Private Investigators, Miss Cinder Investigates. I'm not including Patience into that, but Patience is the same element of it, and it was called and is called crime of the day type thing. So mainly with Patience, the characters develop throughout the series, but it's a new crime each episode. And Bergerac, and you will have heard that in the clip, Bergerac, I don't know why I point that way for the clip when it would have been whatever direction. And so with Bergerac, you sort of, the original Bergerac, you had more cases because you had a new crime every day, and some elements of the character moved along. And so this one had to hang around in the new space of how crime sort of depicts itself in popular mass in the UK. I was slightly annoyed at this programme that it was on drama I know the Bergerac, classic Bergerac, airs all the time on drama, but we've got a crime channel. UK TV, BBC Studios, have a crime channel that showed Annika before it went to the BBC. It showed We Hunt Together before it went to the BBC. As in went to the BBC, I mean, and then before they aired it on the BBC. They should have put Bergerac on Alibi, so I don't know if this will ever air on the BBC. I hope it does one day, because I know that it's a success, these things that UK TV, the BBC Studios are doing with this content. They're airing a lot of the original stuff on the BBC and helps bring wider audience to these things. So hopefully, fingers crossed, BBC Two will get this new version of Bergerac, or BBC One. It depends on when they do it or what they do. So overall, I want to say that the new Bergerac was, and I'm not going to say lightly, it was, I'm going to say in a really odd voice, just the fact that it gets the energy out there. Ready? It was marvellous. I don't know why I went to the side. It was marvellous. I absolutely loved the new Bergerac, right? Jim Bergerac, I don't know why I said it like that, but Jim Bergerac, it's Jim Bergerac. Right, I'm not saying I have a favourite Bergerac, right? Bergerac isn't like a Time Lord. It isn't a continuation. Bergerac of the 80s and Bergerac of now are two different things, right? It's a reboot, right? Which means it doesn't continue the same. The only similarity of both of them is 1, Jersey, 2, the car that you don't really see. You see it throughout, but it's mainly a sleeping bag. He couldn't drive it legally. You all have heard in that clip why I couldn't drive it, really. So, I personally think that Bergerac of the 80s is fantastic, but Bergerac of now is even better. Not better, but even greater, because Bergerac of the 80s is what crime did best. Story of the day, element, love it. But Bergerac now represents what crime dramas are now. And I think that's what's good, because I just think it's fantastic. I do think, I have heard rumours that John Nettles wanted a cameo but never got one, so the Bergerac means Bergerac is the best he can get. Hopefully, if there is a series 2, he will appear in it. So, this review will contain spoilers. This review will contain spoilers. Yes, we've got to that point where there will be spoilers. I do apologise. I know we've got this long to get to the review. I just wanted to talk about other elements, and I wanted to play that clip, right? So I do apologise, but that's where we're at. So I personally think the crime itself was a very good crime. I do think the outcome was a little bit confusing. So if I had to tell you right now who had done it, I don't think I could, technically. I mean, I could roughly push you in the right direction, because I wouldn't want to spoil it, really, but I don't know if I know the actual answer, really. Because at the end, it was really there was scenes where, just as we're coming to an end, just before the credits, where we see what the characters are up to, right? Because we know the next series is going to be a new crime. We're looking at it, and it makes me go, well, they've just said that they've just talked to someone else, and none of it seems like really understanding. So, even though I loved Bergerac to the end of the world, I do think the outcome of the ending wasn't the best. But that might have just been me getting slightly confused, because that is possible. If anyone else understood the ending of the whole show, do let me know. Because then I know it's not just me, but at the moment I think it's just me. The characters were really good. I think Zoe Wanamaker, who was in My Family beforehand, and many other things, but she's most famously known for My Family. Thank you. I think she did a cracking job, even though her role was a gender swap. What I mean is that in the original, her character would have been a bloke, and in this version it's a woman, which is brilliant because it adds a new dimension because we've created some new characters. If I'm not mistaken, and I could be, but Bergerac in this version is more of an alcoholic than he was in the original. Bergerac is more upset because his wife's died. He's left alone with his child. His child's like 14, 15, 13, between the ages of 13 and 15, right? So it's really a sense of, it's one of those, like, you sort of get that atmosphere. She's a brilliant character, but really she's got a lot on her shoulders because she's got Zoe Wanamaker on one side pestering her, and she's got the father that's trying to overcome alcoholism but not doing very well at it. And at the same time as all of that, really, you've got your core issue, which you wouldn't normally get, really, is the fact that he's supplementing the alcohol with this case. And that is just more grittier than original Bergerac. And I know John Nettle said that himself, but I just love Bergerac. I'm not gonna say. The one thing I am gonna say is the views were fantastic. Even some of it was filmed in Plymouth, as well as Jersey. It was still fantastic. My favourite moment in the now Bergerac, and I think nothing's gonna top it in modern sense of the word. I know that my favourite moment in classic Bergerac is the very first episode when the car rolls over, because that would have been a really tricky shot to get, but that was perfectly done. In the new Bergerac, I think it's roughly, and I'm going to say this, just to try and not spoil it too much, but I definitely think it was roughly in, I think it's like the third or fourth episode out of the 6, where they do it where Jim Bergerac should have been at his daughter's parents' evening, which is I don't know if they do that in America or around the world, but it's a very British thing, where parents find out from the teachers how the children are doing and what they need to do to improve. And I think that what made that interesting is that Bergerac was and is, well, at that point was really trying to get back on his feet, and he was trying to be there for his daughter, but because he was also trying to solve the case, it became an issue, because then he was on a protocol. I don't know what you call it really, because I've forgotten that word. And so he was on the mission, and he was doing an operation. That's it. He was doing an operation, and what made it really interesting was the fact that they went, it's like proper. At that point, you're watching a 21st century crime drama, because that happens quite often in a lot of crime dramas, but the bit that made it different was the fact that they had this crowd setting, and the angry man and everyone like, oh no, and you watch as you see Jim Bergerac then start running and running and running and running. I just think that's glorious, and the fact that things happen. I just think that what makes this show amazing, and I'm going to say this, is Jim Bergerac is our character, right? Jersey is a character of his own, like John Nettle said in that clip. But I think that Jim Bergerac is, and always will be, the highlight of the show. I think what I quite like about this, because earlier this week, funnily enough, I watched another crime drama, which was a Welsh crime drama this is where they were fantastic in that one, which is it's called The One That Got Away. And in that, there's two versions of it you can watch. You can watch either the Welsh version, where all of it's in Welsh, or you can watch the English version, where all of it's in English. Basically, they record the scene in Welsh, and they record the scene in English. They do that a lot with a lot of Welsh crime dramas. I don't know a lot, but I know that Hinterland did it as well. And the way they were conducted, the reason why I mention this, because I will review this in my own spare, in another episode of the podcast, in that, when they were doing the interrogation scenes, it was proper, like, shouting, yelling back and forth. And I think that having that as well in Bergerac, because their interaction was, so, in the one that got away, the person they were talking to was sort of known to him. And in Bergerac, which is what the similarity is there, which is what the reason why I mention it, he's done a similar thing. He knows of a criminal that's done something semi-similar. And that's what really works, because you from my angle of watching this as a crime drama, the one that got away early in the week, it meant them watching it going, wow. You know that you've got a good crime drama when you've got similarities to another cracking crime drama. And what makes Bergerac really good is the fact that he doesn't give up. And I think, and I now know my favourite scene of all time in every episode. I'm not even going to say what episode it is. He is on the phone. He's been yelled at by his authorities outside that's going to sack him at any moment. Nothing's going great for him around the outside world of this phone call, but he's about to solve a key element of this case. Because this case was going stale. Nothing was happening. There was too many people in charge. People leaving, stopped being in charge, were in charge. Nothing was going the correct way. But then, Jim Bergerac solved the day with a new element, but then got sacked off the case. What more can you want? You've got a drunk crime solver that solved an element of the crime that no one else has been able to do, but then gets sacked. What more brilliance do you want? Really? It was like, it's brilliant, and it's the fact that the press then don't feel it's press or another character. I think the villains of this piece were Philip. I think he's called Philip Glenister, who played Gina Hunt in Life on Mars and Ashes to Ashes, and he would have played Gina Hunt in Lazarus if the BBC had picked up Lazarus as a series. So he was in it as a villain, and what a cracking villain he was, right? Villain-esque, shall we say. He was in a villain family, shall we say. It took me a while. So the main people that were the ones that were mainly having the crime against him, I thought he was that person, and I found out someone else was that person, and it just made me go, that's slightly odd, and it was slightly odd. But overall, as we come to the close of this part, the review, overall I think the Bergerac 2025 deserves a second series. It had everything that hallmarked a fantastic programme, and I just think that it's worth watching. Now hopefully you've enjoyed, as my microphone falls off, hopefully you've enjoyed my review of the 2025 Bergerac. Now what we're going to do is talk briefly, because I don't want to go on for like 4 million years, but we're now going to talk briefly about why the original 80s Bergerac was as good as Bergerac 2025. Well, you've already seen the evidence in that clip that John Nettles was fantastic in crime. I can't remember, so if you correct me if I'm wrong, I think he did Midsummer Murders before Bergerac, but he could have done it after. I could be wrong on that. So, what I liked about the 80s Bergerac is that A, crime a day, so he solved more crimes than current Bergerac. B, it was that Jersey was a beautiful location then, as it is now. And C, it's John Nettles. You can't go wrong with John Nettles, can you? Well, he's a historian now, so you can't go wrong with him in any sense, but he's now a historian, so he probably knows the historical element of Jersey. So I just think that as a whole, 80s Bergerac solved cases a lot quicker, which I think that is of its time, and that format should return. So we should get. I think that if current Bergerac had to change its format, if there was a format change that it needed to make, I think doing a crime a day in the same style would work really well. I think would work really well. But I think the classic Bergerac, which is what drama now calls it on the schedule when it airs it, I think that it just works incredibly well, and the character of Bergerac now and then is a lot different, and you can't get away from the fact that they are poles opposites, but because obviously new Bergerac's more grittier than 80s Bergerac, and I think that there's nothing I can say other than I would recommend watching both. I love both, and I think that new Bergerac is for fans of crime dramas now, and if you like the elements of watching one and find out the truth at the end of 6, if that's your cup of tea, then new Bergerac's for you. But if you prefer a crime episode, so you can just jump into any random episode and watch him solve a crime, then 80s Bergerac's for you. What's also interesting is I know that Will Smith, the director and performer in The Thick of It, not misconstrued with The Fresh Prince, was a massive fan of Bergerac and did a whole radio show about Bergerac and loved Bergerac. So I just thought I would mention that Bergerac has got a lot of fans, and I think that the new Bergerac is going to be as popular as 80s Bergerac. As I said before, my favourite moment in 80s Bergerac is in Series 1, Episode 1, right near the beginning when the car tumbles over and crashes. I think that for the 80s that was... TV is incredibly expensive no matter what decade you're in. And at that point, that would have been like once it's done, it's done. And I think that makes it more incredible. So, there we have it. Overall, I love both new Bergerac, old 2025 Bergerac and 80s Bergerac. And I think that nothing can beat Bergerac in the sense of if you're going to do so this is what I'm going to say for anyone that wants to hear this. If you're going to make a reboot of a crime program, please listen to what you've done with Bergerac, because that is what I like to call a success. Woo! Hey, it's a success in my eyes. Some reboots, most reboots, are not very successful in my eyes. I can name one, The Demon End Master, but technically, because he included the original one, that's technically a revival at this stage, but still. And I just think that sometimes reboots just don't understand what's going on, but Bergerac understands it and says, look, I love 80s Bergerac, we're going to keep it very similar, but we're just going to put it in the new crime setting with one crime over 6 episodes. You right with that, John Nettles? Yes, you are right there. Woohoo! I'm assuming that John Nettles is going to enjoy it as well, because who isn't going to love the new Bergerac? It's amazing. So, there you have it. Thank you guys for listening and for watching. If you want to watch classic Bergerac, it's available on DVD and on the UK TV Play app. But if you can't find the UK TV Play website / app, then search up You. Brand new Bergerac 2025 is available in full on the UK TV Play app, or it's available, or you can watch it weekly, Thursdays, 9 PM on You and Drama, or as I like to call it, Drama. And then eventually, hopefully it will come to the BBC iPlayer at some point, but for now, and hopefully it comes to DVD to finish a Bergerac collection. And so, there you have it. What do you think of the new Bergerac? What do you think of 80s Bergerac? Let me know, because I love them both. Thank you guys for watching. Bye-bye.